Hello everyone, Marco here, the lead AI developer for OriginTrail. And this video will be let's say, a technical deep dive into the technology we offer. So basically, what's the Decentralized Knowledge Graph, what are knowledge graphs in general, how people can publish knowledge, and basically which products we offer and how you can access the DKG. So the DKG is basically an open, permissionless network where anyone can publish pretty much anything. And that knowledge is verifiable on the blockchain, which means that each data set, I guess, that you publish is hashed, stored on the blockchain, and that means that nobody can basically change it without you knowing, since the hash wouldn't match. Additionally, of course, other data is also stored, such as like proofs, who updated it when, who created it, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So this picture here kind of explains how this whole, let's say, system works. So there's the knowledge graph layer. So each of the nodes in the network, they store their own graph. And proofs and hashes are submitted to the blockchain. And of course, on top, the AI applications are built. The decentralized knowledge graph is essentially, of course, a knowledge graph. And that means that, in our case, we built upon the RDF framework. And I will not deep dive here, but basically, there's been some confusion for some new people here in the community. So we're not like a special knowledge graph. We just follow RDF. So any uncertainties that you have about how to format data, how to connect data, etc., you can find anything here. An important thing here, though, in the DKG is that knowledge can be public and private, and also it can be one knowledge asset can have a public and a private part, which means that if you have a use case with some sensitive data, you can publish, let's say, the private data separately. For example, if you were to submit your own information, maybe some private, like governmental ID identifiers could be private, and your name, of course, could be public. So the way this whole, I'm not sure what I'm doing, but the way this all works is that you pay the token, trace, to store the data, and that data is basically given to the node runners who will store your data over a certain period of time. One epoch is 1 month, so for example, if you pay for 3 epochs, you'll pay let's say 3 times more than if you will store it for 1 epoch. At least I think that's briefly how the calculation works. It might not be exactly 3 times, but yeah. So since we use RDF, the let's say language used to query the network is Sparkle, and it should be somewhere here, yeah. So Sparkle is a language which is basically similar to SQL, but it is for graphs. So I will not dive very deep here, but as you can see, there's a select part, like in SQL, there's a where part, and here we are looking for all entities that have this schema model predicate. So this is the subject, this is the predicate, and this is the object. So we're looking for all subjects which have a certain model, and we're selecting the subject and the model. All right, so OriginTrail is a multi-chain project. So we support multiple blockchains. So for example, we support Neuroweb, which is our blockchain, which is kind of specialized. The gas is probably the lowest there, at most times at least. We support Gnosis and Base for now, and actually there might be a way soon that we support all blockchains, like a light blockchain integration, but there will be much more information about that in the future, so I won't really spoil much. So one term that I maybe used, but it didn't really explain it, is a knowledge asset. So what is a knowledge asset? The knowledge asset is, let's say, the base unit of knowledge in the DKG. So with the introduction of V8, we actually introduced another term, which is a knowledge collection. So knowledge collection is, let's say, a bit of a... It's basically a collection of knowledge assets. So we'll also explain that, but for now, a knowledge asset, it contains, here we see the graph data. So that is the data that you're publishing. For example, here, it would be some data about New York City. Additionally, it contains proofs. So each knowledge asset, the hash is stored on the blockchain, as well as the information about the publishers, etc. And each knowledge asset has its own UAL. So you could go to the DKG Explorer and look for some your UAL. So it's basically the uniform asset locator of this knowledge asset, it's something like a URL for internet, but here it's a UAL. And I accidentally opened one that cannot be opened, but yeah, you could open, for example, this one, and you will be able to see it on the DKG Explorer. So this is the website where you can actually see your knowledge assets in a very nice 3D graph way. All right, so we showed pretty much everything I wanted. So like I said, knowledge asset could have a public and a private part as well. And you can also connect knowledge assets, which is very important. So here I'll show you one example. So if we had this knowledge asset, so its product is basically says it's the third knowledge on the DKG, let's go. And if I wanted to create a fourth product, so I'm creating it here, I'm using the ID. So you're really supposed to use these IDs because it's the way to identify these assets on the level of the graph. So UAL, it's on the level of the whole DKG, but these IDs are used to identify it on the level of the whole graph, knowledge graph, to be more precise. And if I wanted to connect this knowledge asset to the previous one, I would use the ID of this knowledge asset, and I would copy it here. So basically, I would do this. And what also you can do, but this is not a mandatory part, so if you just connect it via the ID, you connect it on the level of the graph. But if you want to connect it on the level of the whole DKG, you could also do this. You can add another property, let's say is part of, and put the UAL of the previous knowledge asset. And then you would create this this knowledge asset, and it will be connected to the first one. So yeah, this was the, let's say, dive into the basic concepts, and I think I explained everything at least well. So how can you interact with the whole DKG? Well, you can find that information in the docs, and I'll go over the key parts, let's say. So you can interact via the SDK. What I just showed in the Visual Studio is the JavaScript SDK. You can create knowledge assets, you can query them. I've shown a query at the middle of the video, I think, and you can also get them via the URL, as you can see here. And there will be probably another video which will dive deeper into the client. Another thing you can do is you can run a core node. And a core node is basically a node that you run, and then you're allowed to store the data that other people publish, and you're rewarded for that by getting some trace. So a mandatory thing for you to run a core node is to have a minimum stake of 50,000 trace. And via using the delegated staking, other people could stake on your node as well, and you could increase the number of tokens that are on your node. And pretty much, if you have 2 million stake, which is the maximum one, you're guaranteed to get a decent amount of publishes, and with that also a decent amount of rewards. So gateway nodes or edge nodes are another type of node on the DKG, and the only difference is that you don't have to have any stake on these nodes, and because of that, you will not be storing other people's data, but you're still able to publish private data on your node. And yeah, it's basically mostly for people who want to publish their private data and yeah, share it with only either nobody or with the people they choose, basically. I guess the last way to interact is via staking on the core node. So you could not run your own node, but you could stake your trace on another node, and you will also be given a part of the rewards for the publishings. So yeah, I think this is it for this video, and we'll dive deeper into, well, maybe not the core node, but for sure the edge nodes and the SDKs on another video. And yeah, this is it. Thanks for watching, and yeah, like, share, and subscribe, I guess. See you.